Hello and welcome to the Rankers podcast, where we literally rank anything and everything, just two best friends ranking it up. And my name's Nick.
My name is Jacob. Let's rank them.
Let's rank them. Yo, how's it going, my man?
It's going good. It's going good, man. How
Bro,
are
do
you?
you know what season it is?
Okay, so I walked out this morning and I walked back in my house and I was like, I need a sweater because it's freaking football
Uh-uh.
season, baby.
It's freaking football season. It's not fall, it's football season.
That's right. We are from Georgia, and so fall just doesn't exist here. It's just football season is what it's called. It's
Exactly.
summer, football season, winter, and spring.
And a lot of people say from the south, like in the South region, is that we're all about college football. While yes, that is very, very true. We're all about sports.
Yes.
So like baseball, football of any level, you name it. Even we playing soccer out here these days. I'm out here currently reffing some upward soccer, so that's been pretty
Bro,
fun.
let's freaking go, man. Give it up
Yeah,
for
dude.
Nick, everybody. He is reffing upward soccer.
Yeah, dude. And just like calling the random calls I don't even know. But
Oh
anyways,
yeah.
um
Red
but
card,
like I
yellow card,
said,
flag.
bro, it's like the little kids, man. I'm like, just
False
quit kicking
start.
it out of bounds.
Bro, quit making me run and get this ball.
uh yeah, dude, I had like 10,000 steps in like 2 hours in one day
Oh, you
roughing.
gotta love it, man. Doing
Oh
the
man,
Lord's work, man.
doing the Lord's work. It was a good time. But anyway, so I say all this to say that we just like sports. We like college football, but we also like the NFL.
Yeah.
And that is what we're talking about today. We will be ranking the top 5 worst NFL quarterbacks right now, and then the top 5 best NFL quarterbacks right now, which is cool. It's kind of something that we're introducing for the first time because we haven't really done a lot of worst lists before.
Yeah.
And so we're excited to kind of do this and see how it goes and potentially do a list where we just do the worst of something. So yeah, we're going to see how that goes. But for this one, we wanted to do best and worst. So yeah, we're excited for that. And then the way that we're going to do it is we're going to do, so top 5, obviously, but then we're going to do, so if Jacob is starting, he's going to do his number 5 worst and number 5 best.
Yeah.
And then it'll be my turn and we'll go from there.
Yeah.
But yeah, this will be cool. I'm excited for it. Hopefully it's funny and hopefully it's maybe even some informational.
Yeah, I mean,
Quarterbacks I wasn't even aware of, but
just to get it kind of at the offset, you guys. I mean, obviously, you've listened to us when we've talked about sports. Like, we enjoy watching sports, but I listen to legitimate sports podcasts, and their stuff that they talk about and stuff that they see that I just don't even know exists. It's because
yeah.
it's their job, obviously. That's not us. We
No.
don't really know what we're talking about. We have like really, really high opinions that we think matter, but to, like the 29 people that are going to listen to this episode or whoever it is, like you guys know, we know, let's get it just on the table. We don't know what we're talking about, but we're going to do it anyway, because that's what this podcast is about.
If that wasn't a great pitch for people to listen to our podcast, I don't know what was.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand why you wouldn't be hooked immediately just off of that. I mean, that's fantastic. Let's just level the playing field here, guys. Anybody could do what we're doing right here.
Oh man. But in honesty, that's where we want to live, because we do so many different lists and we do so many broad subjects. We're doing versus episodes, we're doing worst, we're doing best. So we're talking we're talking about a lot of things, which means like, hey, there's some things that we're not going to know a lot about, but there are some things that we might know a lot about.
Right.
Like go listen to a Star Wars podcast where Jacob talks for an hour and I think I said 2 words.
Yes, sir.
So like there's some things that like, we might be able to talk about more, but
for sure. And that's not to say, guys, like I say that facetiously and I'm being genuine, but it's also not to say that we put like zero thought into this. Like we both did research and we kind of did our homework a little bit and looked around. And what's good too is that at this time of the recording, I know this episode is going to come out. It's probably going to be 2 or 3 weeks into the NFL season. But at the time of this recording, the NFL season has just started. So if we trash a guy and he ends up having a breakout year, we apologize. If we put a guy up in the top 5 and he ends up completely like bush leaguing it this year, we also apologize. We can't predict the future. We can only talk about the past. And
imagine if Johnny Manziel was brought up again.
You know that he's getting a documentary? That makes me so mad.
Yes, bro. That's because he's one of the best quarterbacks of all time in college football.
Oh, man.
Hey,
right,
fun fact for you real quick.
Yeah.
Jacob and I are in a fantasy football league together, and I just traded one of the top quarterbacks for one of the top running backs. So I'm getting Saquon Barkley, and I'm trading out Josh Allen. So now I'm going to have Patty Mahomes and Saquon.
Oh, man. Look out. Did you win your first week? I got a dub on my first week.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. I beat Reed. I'm happy about that.
Shout out to Reed.
Shout out, Reed. You suck. I'm just kidding.
You suck. All right. You ready to do this thing, dude?
I am. You want to start out with number 5s?
Yeah, I can.
Me?
Okay, I can start it out. So like
you gonna do worst first?
Yeah, like we said, we're gonna do each of us is gonna give our worst and best of that number. So starting at number 5, I'll start with my worst. And so this is, and you'll just have to catch on as the listeners, this is like the best of the worst on my list at number 5, because number 1 for my worst list is going to be who I think is the worst, obviously. So I'm just being clear. So out of the 5 worst, this is who I think is the best out of the ones that I've chosen. Also to clarify too, we didn't say we're doing like starting QBs. So at the 2022 season, if they're not starting this year, we didn't include them, or starting last year, because there's like a couple that got benched this year that I might have had on my list, but ended up they're not starting. So anyway, just to clear that up, my number 5 worst NFL QB of 2022 is Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson plays for the Jets, and I have him at number 5 because he has a lot of talent and he plays for the Jets. So I have him so low on the worst list because I think he has some potential if he was under a really good coaching staff and program and had more weapons and was just on a better team. I think his talent could be displayed a little bit better. But since he's on a horrible team and he's not given any kind of environment to make good decisions, he looks like a horrible quarterback. And don't get me wrong, he's bad. I'm not trying to defend him and say that he's better than he is. He's not great. But I think with Zach Wilson, it's more of the situation more than the talent, because I've seen the way that he can throw the ball, some of the decisions that he makes, the way that he can scramble in and out of the pocket. He's not bad when it comes to his talent, but I just think he's bad when it comes to obviously overall. I mean, he's got the 9 and 11 touchdown interception ratio, 9 touchdowns, 11 interceptions last year, is rough. Anytime you have more interceptions than touchdowns, obviously that's not a great season. And that is what he did last year, which is rough. And like I said, he doesn't make good decisions, but yeah, I think he's got some promise. He's just in a bad situation. And that's my number 5.
I got 3 quick things to say.
Okay.
When I think about quarterbacks for the Jets, Mark Sanchez and the butt fumble will go down in history.
Oh man, poor guy.
2, my dad is a Jets fan, so RIP to that.
Oh man.
And 3, that's not the first time that I think that's happened to a quarterback in the situation, because I'm a Dogs fan. So I was a Matthew Stafford fan, and he went and played for the Lions. And I think the Lions have absolutely horrible luck, and RIP for playing for the Lions.
Yeah.
But as soon as he leaves his first year in LA after leaving the Lions, he has like a phenomenal season, and he tied like 41 touchdown passes, which was like in 2011 was the time that he had a previous season that well. So it was like, dude, get off the Lions. That's all you needed to do.
Yeah, I think
that's not the first time. Like, so Zach could have potential. He just needs to leave the Jets.
Right. Yeah. And it happens. I think it happens fairly often. I mean, we're seeing Jameis Winston right now do not too terrible with the Saints. He's just awful with the Buccaneers. He's awful. He like set a record for interceptions in a season or something like that. He's terrible. He's still not great, but you can see quarterbacks being put in better situations with better coaches and better weapons around them, and you can see them definitely flourish. But that's my number 5 worst. Number 5, let's switch to my best. So this is who I think is the number 5 best quarterback in the NFL right now. It is Justin Herbert of the Los Angeles Chargers. So Justin Herbert, there's really no limit to this guy when it comes to his arm talent. He can throw the football a million yards. He has great vision. He's got the size of a QB that you want, right? There's really no limit. I think the 38 to 15 touchdown interception ratio last year was pretty impressive. 38 touchdowns, 15 interceptions. And I think he's got some similar Josh Allen vibes. But he's just not quite as talented, and he can't do the scrambling stuff that Josh Allen does, in my opinion. But give this guy more times. I put it down in my notes. I'm saying it with confidence now. He will win an MVP, and he will win a championship at some point in his career. I think he's that talented. He definitely deserves to be in the top 5. And I'll even explain that more when you find out who's not in my top 5 and how much of a homer I am for this particular person who's not going to be in my top 5, which I may have just given it away.
He'll be my number 5.
But anyway, I've got Herbert at number 5. I think he's great. And those are my 2 number 5s.
Nice. Those are good number 5s. I don't have either one of those in my picks. So that's cool that we'll have a little bit of different lists here.
Yeah, let's do it. Well, let's
so number 5 worst for me is somebody that I had on my top 10 best quarterback in college list.
Oh, no.
And this is Baker Mayfield.
Oh, wow.
While I think that a lot of his struggles last season was due to his injuries, because he played through a lot of injuries last season. And I was looking at his just current stats for the past season, 2021. And it really wasn't all that great. I mean, he had 17 passing TDs and 13 INTs. And so yes, it's not a negative ratio, but at the same time, it's not that great. And so he's just he's kind of a bubble guy. He could be in that 6 to 7 range worse, but I wanted to move him up to 5 just because I saw his name and I was like, hey, Baker, you're going to be on my worst list. But yeah, I will say that there's just a lot of hype around him, obviously, because he's Baker Mayfield and he did so great at Oklahoma. And then he was the number 1 pick in 2018. And then he comes in and doesn't do as, we see this time and time again anyway, sometimes with some of the top college quarterbacks coming into the NFL. But I feel like it kind of hit him a little bit harder than others. And then obviously he's been battling injuries. And then going to the Browns, it's one of those teams that's just man, you just got scuffed from going to a team like that. But he's not doing amazing. He's not doing absolutely horrible, but so that's why he's kind of on the bubble for me as far as worst goes.
Okay. I will say with Baker Mayfield, he did take the Browns to the playoffs, and they almost beat the Chiefs. I believe the year the Chiefs won the Super Bowl. I could be wrong.
I think that was 2019.
I don't have that in front of me. Yeah, but
currently
last season was bad. There's no
bad.
mistake. But I do think that he was playing through a lot of injuries.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see
how he
does with the Panthers this year. And there's something to be said. There's no reason, especially 2 or 3 years ago, there's no reason the Browns should have been bad. Because Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt are one of the best running back, probably the best running back duo in the NFL. You had OBJ, Jarvis Landry, among other weapons.
They did pick up some good players here in the last 3-5 years.
And then Myles Garrett on defense.
Drought before that where they were just a struggle.
Yeah, they were terrible. But yeah, Baker Mayfield, I think, doesn't get out of his own way sometimes and can definitely have some poor decisions. I wouldn't have him that low. But I do respect your pick for sure.
And then top 5 best.
Yeah, let's hear it.
This was also another bubble guy that I just saw the name and I wanted to put him in here, and it's Joe Burrow. Somebody that's near and dear to your heart. And I think you thought about putting him in your top 5 best, but this is a guy adverse to Baker, at least, and again, in the last season. I think that Joe has done really well coming into the NFL. Just obviously another number 1 overall pick. And didn't he had an injury too, right? Didn't he like tear his ACL?
Yeah, he tore his ACL halfway through his rookie season. And
Yeah, which
he was
is
doing super good. And literally the next year was last year when they went to the Super Bowl.
right. And like that to me, like
He's good.
so he
He's
had again adverse
really
to
good.
Baker. He had the injury. He's no joke. He was number one for a reason. He took him to the Super Bowl, and then like just a couple of his 2021 stats. I mean, he had almost 5,000 passing yards, 34 passing TDs, 14 interceptions. Like that's just crazy good stuff for only being in like, you know, your second year in the NFL. So, and I mean, I'm not the biggest LSU fan, but like I know you are, and I like Joe Burrow. He's a good guy. So I was like, man, I'm gonna throw him up here in my list. So those are my top 5. Best guy would be Joe Burrow, and then top 5 worst would be Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, I love it. You know, I can't say anything bad about Joey B. I couldn't put him in my top 5 because I think so
I did it for
far
you.
I appreciate it. But just what he's able to do as well with that terrible offensive line is really impressive. I mean, getting sacked, he got sacked 9 times in the Titans game last year when they beat the Titans to go on to play the Chiefs in the semifinals of the playoffs. And his offensive line is no good, and he just got the crap beat out of him, but he still managed to just make those incredible throws. Love Joey B. Love that pick. All right.
Yeah. We're on to your number 4s.
My number 4, I do not like this quarterback. I don't understand why he's a starting quarterback in the NFL. This is my number 4 worst, and it is Daniel Jones, the starting quarterback for the New York Giants. I've never gotten it. I've watched him before. I didn't see it when he first got drafted, when they started him, when Eli left and stuff. I have never once seen what other people see and why New York got so excited for this guy. I don't understand it. I think he's terrible. I think he never looks like he knows what he's doing. He has like some promise where like sometimes he'll break off for a run, sometimes he'll make a good throw, and every once in a while. But I think I rank him so low. Like I think I don't like it so much because New York talks about him like he's a franchise quarterback. Like he's their guy. Like, no, the only way you guys are going anywhere is if Saquon Barkley, who might be, you know, the most talented running back we've ever seen, just as far as like sheer talent, that's the only way you guys are getting somewhere, because like Daniel Jones is just not the guy. And I've never understood why he still has the starting job and why they would not draft a quarterback for the past however many seasons.
In a weird way, he's just like one of the most basic like NFL quarterbacks I've ever seen.
Yeah,
like, sorry,
it's like it's like not even French vanilla ice cream. It's just vanilla, where it's like
just vanilla.
it's barely flavor. He's like water flavored ice cream, and I'm not gonna eat that. Sorry. So yeah, that I won't do too much. He only had 10 touchdowns last season, with starting the whole time and not being injured. That's just not great. And he kind of has a couple weapons with like Galladay and those guys on the Giants. So he didn't have Saquon the last couple of seasons. I get it. Saquon's probably going to have an incredible year this year, is what it's shaping up to be if he stays healthy. So the Giants may show some promise, but I don't think it's going to be because Daniel Jones. I think he's trash.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Number 4 best. You ready for it? My number 4 best QB 2022 is the GOAT himself, Tom Brady, TB12.
Good word.
Here's what I'll say. And I could almost just say this and stop without saying any of his stats. But the fact that he's on this list and he's 45 is crazy. Is crazy. He's 45 years old.
Dude, he's grandpa.
He has 7 rings. He has won 7 Super Bowls. That is insane. But let's just talk about his stats as a QB, because the past couple of years have been kind of I think the Belichick Brady argument was diminished when Brady won the Super Bowl the year after he left Belichick.
That was amazing. I'm not gonna lie.
and then Belichick hasn't been able to get the Pats anywhere since. No, Tom Brady's incredible, and he had like 5,316 passing yards last season, which is incredible. His touchdown interception ratio is not as good as it's been before, but 43 touchdowns and 12 interceptions is still pretty dang good. And then of course Tom Brady's decision making is almost flawless. It always has been. He makes incredible decisions. He's got good weapons over there in Tampa Bay. He's old. He's 45, so I think that he probably won't win another Super Bowl. I think if he were to win another Super
That's a
Bowl,
bold statement. He just did.
yeah, I know, but I don't know, man, with what they've got going on. Anyway, Tom Brady deserves to be in the top 5, but the fact that he's still in the top 5 at age 45 just speaks volumes. And so that's I've got him at number 4.
That's a good word. I'll come back to Tom Brady here in a second.
All right,
so going on to my number 4s, number 4 worst is also the same as yours, Daniel Jones. I thought about jumping in with you, but I was like, you're gonna do your best after this, so I guess I'll just wait. A lot of the same stuff that you said as far as just the Giants and thinking that he is their guy when like I don't even know what's going on there.
Again, nobody does.
No. And then like I said too, is one of the points that I wanted to say is that he's just such a basic quarterback, and like it sounds weird to say that you're basic and being a quarterback in the NFL and making millions of dollars, but like at the same time, like I just don't see anything super fancy about him. And again, like you said, Saquon, having him, he can hand the ball off to him 90% of the time. And he'd actually probably do better if he did that more, because then we'd take less light away from Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
But anyways, he does have some good, I think the offensive coordinator, I forget, I can't remember the Giants offensive coordinator name, but the guy is pretty credible. Do you know? Are you raising your hand?
No, I don't. I can't think of it right now. Sorry, I was.
No, you're good. But yeah, so I mean, just to look at his 2021 stats, 10 passing TDs, 7 interceptions. Like that's almost cutting even. But you play for the city of New York and not the Jets. We're talking about the Giants here. Like that is like more of New York's team than the Jets. So like you're representing
one of the oldest football teams.
One of the oldest football teams. And like, there's just a lot of like, it's just kind of like, it would be like playing for like the Yankees or something. There's just a lot of prestige and like, there's a lot of pressure and playing for a team like that. And I just don't really think he's living up to it. But I don't know, maybe he's got potential somewhere else, but we'll give him the benefit of a doubt, but maybe not.
You can, I'm not going to. I don't think he'll ever be a successful quarterback. And if he turns out to be, I will remember this. I'll recant my words and all that kind of stuff, but I don't see it. Yeah. I just do not see it.
Well, and they have the nickname for him, like Danny Dimes.
Danny Dimes.
Like, yeah, he literally threw 10 touchdowns all season long. That's the dime.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh,
exactly.
Man. Okay, not great. So number 4 best for me of NFL football players right now is going to be another older guy, but not quite as old as him, but his name is Aaron Rodgers. He turns 39 in December. How about that? Fun fact.
Yeah.
But Aaron Rodgers is another guy, obviously doesn't have the same amount of rings or necessarily clout as Tom Brady does, but he's another guy that's been able to be consistently really, really good in the NFL for a long time. And he's still doing that today. His 2021 stats, over 4,000 passing yards, 37 passing touchdowns, and 4 interceptions. That's a really low number for interceptions, which is really impressive. But that's what Aaron Rodgers does. He actually throws dimes, and he's been doing it for a long time. But yeah, so I felt like he needed to make it up there. And yeah, he won NFL MVP back-to-back for the first time in his career.
Yeah, the past 2 years.
Yeah, the past 2 years. So if that, maybe you'll probably have him higher on your list, I'm sure. But yeah, so he's making number 4 for me.
Okay.
But yeah, so
he's in the top 5. That's my main thing is like if you don't have A-Rod in the top 5, but he's there. So
yeah,
I love
it. Go. He makes me want to get some whatever he does, State Farm insurance.
Yeah, he's kind of a weird dude. He gives me vibes where he like acts a lot younger than I feel like he should act. Like he's almost 40. It's like Like, put the man bun thing away and just calm down.
Tom
Dude.
Brady got some years on him though. Oh yeah, the man bun was not good. His hair is too straight, man. It's like if
Yeah,
I tried to grow a man bun, like
it's
it's just
weird.
too straight.
I would support you though. I would support you.
Thanks, I appreciate it. All right, so we're
Um,
on to your number threes.
yeah, my number three. A lot of the research I did, I saw a few people have this guy as the worst starting QB right now.
Mm,
And I definitely could see why. I don't quite have him up that high, but my number three worst QB is Mitchell Trubisky or
I think I
Mitch
saw him.
Trubisky,
Yeah,
whatever.
I didn't know anything about him.
He was good in North Carolina. He had a good collegiate career and then just
Okay.
never ever panned out in the NFL. Now,
Oh.
to his, I guess, defense a little bit, he was drafted by the Bears, and that's primarily who he's played for. And the Bears haven't been good since like the 50s. And so it's one of those
The
things
Bears.
where it's a situational thing. So much of it, we see this with the NBA too. Like, so much of these things are situational. You see Russell Westbrook, who like broke the record for triple doubles, has won an MVP, and then he goes to the Lakers and he for some reason looks like one of the worst players. He looks completely unplayable. So much of these sports, these team sports, when you have these guys, it is situational, absolutely. But at some point, like, you have to show some kind of promise. Like, I give a lot of credit to Trevor Lawrence, who won't make my top 5 worst QBs because I think he is making the most of what he has down in Jacksonville, and especially with a dumpster fire of a coaching situation last year with Urban Meyer. I'm going to
Yeah.
cut that space
No, you're
out.
good.
The horrible situation that he had with Urban Meyer. And yeah, he didn't look amazing, but he showed some promise. Like, he's showing that, like, okay, if you give me some weapons, if you give me a solid coach for a consistent number of years, like, I'll get you some wins, I'll make some plays. Mitch Trubisky just like has not done that. He's just awful. He's one of the worst NFL quarterbacks that I've like watched, because when he's out there, he never looks confident. He never looks like he knows what he's doing. He just looks terrible. Last year, I know he didn't play the whole season, but threw 0 touchdowns and 1 interception. Like, that's all he did last year, which is not good. And again, to be fair, he's never worked with a good and successful offensive staff before. But I'm really interested to see what he does with the Steelers this year, because he's under a good coaching staff and he does have some weapons around him. But I don't have a lot of faith in what he can produce, because I just haven't seen anything when he's been in the NFL that showed me that. So he's bad, and he's number 3 worst for me.
Argue with that.
All right, so number 3 best. So 1, 2, and 3 on my best list was kind of the most difficult for me. I've changed things back and forth because these 3 guys are, in their own ways, just masterful at this position that they play. But my number 3 best, I'm gonna go with Josh Allen, and I have a little quick Josh Allen thing that I just have to tell everybody, because I just take a lot of pride in it. I'll be honest. So when Josh Allen came out of college and the NFL Combine was happening, I never watched the NFL Combine ever. But for some reason, I was sitting with my little brother and we were flipping through the channels, and I just turned it on. And Josh Allen was drafted the year that I think the year that like Sam Darnold went number 1. And then like Josh Rosen was like number 2.
I forgot about that.
And Josh Rosen completely ended up being a bust. And Sam Darnold kind of is too.
Yeah.
Anyway, there was like 3 quarterbacks drafted before Josh Allen. But I remember watching.
Pick, I think.
I can't remember off the top of my head. I can't remember. It might have only been 2, but anyway, I could look it up later. But I remember watching the NFL Combine, and I was watching it and I was going, I turned to my little brother and I said, that guy from, what is it, like Wyoming State is where or Wyoming? Where did he play? I don't know. I might need to be corrected on that. It's like either
I
Wyoming
can
or
fact check.
Montana State or whatever. Fact check while I finish. But I turned to my little brother and I was like, that guy is the best quarterback out here. And it's like by far, like just by watching him for like 5 minutes, I was like, that guy's really, really good. And then I was so happy to see that he turned out to be really, really good. The dude is insanely good at this position. He has some Mahomes type of things that he's able to do with as far as just making plays. But Josh Allen's upside is incredible. Like what he's going to turn into, he's already so good now. I have to say this with Josh Allen too. Size does matter. Don't let anybody tell you different because
Yeah, he's
Josh
6'5".
Allen's size, he's like a linebacker who can run the football out there, and he's an amazing QB.
Yeah,
And
he's 6'5", 237.
did you find out what college it was?
Yeah, it was Wyoming.
It was Wyoming. Okay.
And he was the 7th pick in the 2018 draft.
Yeah. Okay. 7th pick. Was I couldn't
Those
remember
6
that
teams are
specifically.
crying. Let's just say that.
Oh, absolutely. The thing that places Josh Allen above everybody else is, and above, I'll even say above my number 1 and 2 pick, this particular trait is his option threat ability. Defenses just have to be like just begging for him not to tuck the ball and start to run because he just always picks up the first down. He's weirdly fast for his size and he makes really good decisions. The reason I have him at number 3 and not 1 or 2 is simply because he has a little tad bit of inconsistency where every once in a while he'll make a bad decision, whereas my 1 and 2 I don't think have that as much as he does. But it's the same thing with Herbert. I would be willing to almost bet my life on the fact that he'll have a Super Bowl. It might be this year. Last Thursday night, the Bills like killed the Rams and he looked really, really good. This might be his year, but he'll win a championship and he'll definitely win an MVP. He's my number 3, Josh Allen.
No, that's a good pick. A guy that we've had on this podcast, Josiah, is a huge Buffalo Bills fan. And so I'm excited for him. Hopefully he'll get a Super Bowl out of Josh Allen this year.
Shout out Josiah.
Shout out Josiah. So I'm going to be moving on to my number 3 worst here, and then my number 3 best. My number 3 worst is Marcus Mariota. This one was a little bit harder for me to swallow.
I was wondering if you were going to do this.
Yeah, I when I was doing some research, because I didn't really need to do research because I am a little bit of a Falcons fan, so I'll follow them a good bit. Which is just sad in of itself that I'm following the Atlanta Falcons sometimes. It's just a waste of time. But what kind of is a waste of time is having Marcus Mariota be the QB. But anyways,
yeah, I definitely think they should start the guy from Cincinnati that they drafted. I can't remember his name off the top of my head right now, but
I haven't been researching too deep into them. I barely pay attention. But anyways, nobody really needs to pay attention right now anyways.
Yeah, because they somehow blew like a 16-point lead. They just did what they always do at the opening with the Saints. And so anyway.
But I mean, he's still young. He's like, it says he's 28 here. So I mean, like, he's still got some time. Maybe he can figure things out. Where was he? He was in Las Vegas before.
Yeah, he was with the Raiders, and he was with the Titans, I believe, before
with
he
the
was
Titans
with the Raiders.
too. So I mean, he's already like on his 3rd team at this point, and he's young. So like, that's not a good sign.
No.
As just a quarterback in the NFL, if you're already starting to move around that much and you're that young, like that's not a good trajectory. Because that means teams aren't wanting to keep you, and cities aren't loving you.
Yeah.
But I mean, he had a good college career, and like he hasn't done horrible. So like he's got some things going for him, but I don't think he's the type of guy that's going to last very long in the NFL. And I mean, maybe we could see, maybe if he could get, some good offensive line in there or something, but like, I don't know. I don't see this guy really picking it up anytime soon, but that's why he's making my worst list as number 3.
Yeah. He seems like a really nice guy, You hate to do it. And
like
to be
nice
fair,
guy.
and to be fair, he actually didn't look horrible in his first game with the Falcons. and so you never know. But
Yeah.
I wouldn't count on it.
I mean, defense. Yeah. I mean, their defense definitely let them down in that game.
Yeah.
But let's
I
move
don't
on.
hate the pick. Yeah.
Let's move on. So my number 3 best is the oldie himself, the GOAT, the number 3 best quarterback right now is Tom Brady.
Wow.
And again, like you've already said, it's already impressive enough that he's still able to do what he's doing at 42 years old or something like that. We said he was 42.
45.
45, that's right. Oh my gosh.
He's 5 years away from
the
being
man,
50.
bro. Oh man. But another season of over 5,000 yards in 2021 passing, and those 43 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. I mean, the dude is just, I mean, he produces every single year, and it doesn't matter where he goes, which we're finding that out. Yeah, because we had the whole Belichick or Brady, but like we found that one out, like you said, the very first year that he got to win a Super Bowl. After that, but yeah, I mean, I don't really. Tom Brady is just like, he's the GOAT of football, and there's no question about that. And that's really all I got about him.
Yeah, it's a little surprising to me just because, again, this is a rankings podcast and we're, ranking two different things. So anytime, guys, if me and Nick ever argue, just know that, it's all love here. We love, we're.
Oh, you want to argue that?
We're best friends. I think it's a little bit, obviously if
you
this
think
was
it's high?
If this was an overall list, like obviously we can kind of figure out who the number one, like he's the greatest of all time. But as far as like right now, I find it hard to believe him being higher than Aaron Rodgers in particular is my main thing, is why I would question why he would be higher than, the back-to-back MVP. But I think what I'm hearing
it's just his creds.
Is the creds. Yeah, that's what I'm okay. That's fine. I can't argue, dude. I'm not going to argue with 7 Super Bowl. I'm not going to argue with the GOAT at all. I'm not even going to get in there at all. But as far as just like what we've got right now, I think that I would definitely go with A-Rod over TB12. But
yeah, that's a good point. I mean, you had him at 4, right?
Yeah. Oh, he's in the top 5.
I mean, yeah, he's kind of in the same realm for us. Oh, so really, what you're saying is you think Aaron Rodgers should be higher? I mean, I mean he's back-to-back MVPs, so I get it.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, you're
that's
good.
Fine. I respect the pick though.
All right, so we're moving on to your number 2s.
Yeah. So I'm gonna tell you what my number 2 is. My number 2 worst quarterback, and then I'm gonna ask you a question if you're good with me.
Bet.
Didn't like that. All right. So my number 2 worst NFL quarterback right now is Davis Mills. Question: who the heck is Davis Mills?
Dude, wait, that's unfair because
somebody tell me
who this guy is. I had him on my list, and I was gonna say the same thing.
Oh man, is he your number 2?
No, I took him out.
Oh, you took him
earlier when I was revising this.
This is shout out to our Serial podcast. This is the Kicks pick.
This is the Kicks pick.
Like I will never forget Nick's famous quote, famous to me anyway, where Nick said, like, what the heck is Kicks? Nobody cares. That's what I feel like with Davis Mills. But I will get into some of his overall, I mean, the stats are what they are. They're not great. I
said that. We used to come for each other's throats more, man.
We've
gotten nicer.
We've grown. He started all last year because of the whole Watson debacle. And it's just bad. He's a terrible decision maker. He's one of the most, like, if you go and watch him, he looks like he's doing the wrong thing. Like he's stolen a uniform and put on a helmet and he's out there. And this is totally disrespectful. I'm aware because the dude is an NFL quarterback. He has to be some point, he has to be at some, but with who he's around, with the fact that he is a starting quarterback and the fact that there are other people on the bench on other teams, that it's crazy. He was terrible. He has he doesn't make good decisions. He shouldn't be a starter on any team. The Texans are one of the worst teams in the NFL right now currently. And so I guess it makes sense that he would start for that team. But no, he's not great. And he's my number 2 worst overall. I think he's bad.
Yeah.
And who is he? I don't know.
Our worst is probably going to be our top worst is going to be the same guy probably.
Oh, you think so? Okay,
Maybe.
we'll see. We'll see how it goes. All right. Number 2 best for me.
Wait, I thought you were asking me a question.
That was my question.
Who
Mills?
is he? Yeah, no idea, dude. I can't even tell you what he looks like. So you're just talking about that. I'm like, I don't know.
Exactly. All right. My number 2 best starting QB for the NFL right now is Patrick Mahomes. And I think I love to make, part of the reason why we created this podcast, I love to make statements or hot takes or Jake takes, as you can call them. I don't think this is really a Jake take, but I just like making definitive statements. And I like to argue my reasoning why. I think Patrick Mahomes is the most talented quarterback we've ever seen, ever.
Is the most what?
Talented quarterback we've ever seen, ever. I think as far in the NFL.
Dual threat, no doubt.
Well, but I think with anything, the stuff like, especially like his first, the year that they won the Super Bowl and even the year that they lost to the Buccaneers, some of the plays that he made are insane. Like some of the stuff that he was able to do was just insane. He's doing stuff at that position. My favorite comparison is Steph Curry. That's what I think. Like Steph Curry uses the 3-point shot and does stuff that we just don't understand how it works. And he just completely changed the game and the way that it's played. I feel the same about Patrick Mahomes. The diving sidearm stuff, the, pitching up, the moves that he's able to make, the running out of the pocket, the fact that he can throw the ball as far as anybody in the NFL. 4,839 total yards last season is incredible. His upside is obviously incredible. He's still really young. There's really nothing that he can't do. The Chiefs are probably going to be really good this year, and he is out to prove to everybody that he doesn't need Tyreek Hill on his team to be good, and because he's still out there throwing flames. And so almost made it to my number 1, would probably be number 1 on a lot of people's lists, but he's at number 2 for me. But he's fantastic. If this was an all-time great, he might be almost just as high. I'm not sure, but I'm really high on Patrick Mahomes.
I don't mind it at all. Don't mind it at all.
Yeah. All right, I'm ready to hear. So let's give me your number 2 for both of yours.
All right, so my number 2 on my worst list is Jared Goff. And honestly,
not Jared Goff.
Honestly, like he's real. I don't even know. I just again, going back to the teams thing, he plays for the Lions, so he already doesn't have it going for him now. But I mean, replacing Stafford in Detroit there, I'll just go to his stats. I mean, again, he's not horrific, but I just don't think he's got a whole lot going for him there. But he's got 3,000 yards in 2021, 19 passing TDs, and 8 interceptions. Just a very, very average player. And kind of like what I was saying about Marcus Mariota, I just don't think that there's going to be any success in the near future. There could be, but I don't know. He just wasn't hitting the mark. And I mean, one of the most well-known, I don't know, below average, if you will. I mean, he doesn't have a great team in general, again, because it's the Lions. But
yeah, he's in a pretty tough situation.
Yeah, it's not great, and it's not looking good for him. And so he's making number 2 for me. But honestly, one of the main reasons I put him here was just this dude plays for the Lions. I'm putting him at number 2.
I thought about Jared Goff, and I couldn't. He literally played for a Super Bowl a few years ago, and I couldn't. He was going up against Tom Brady in the Super Bowl, and I couldn't put him in the top 5.
His ceiling has just been hit.
Yeah, and I definitely agree. I don't hate the pick. The Super Bowl thing, I couldn't do it, but yeah, no, I get it for sure. As far as right now, yeah, he's not great at all.
Yeah, he's not great, and like I just said, he's hit his ceiling, and so I don't think he's gonna have much of a bright future. And stop playing for the Lions. All right.
Yeah. Poor guy. Poor guy.
All right, number 2, best. This is somebody that's already been mentioned. But this is Josh Allen with the Buffalo Bills. This dude, I kind of just said dual threat about Patty Mahomes, but like, no, talk about dual threat. That's Josh Allen.
Yeah.
He's killing running the ball and passing the ball, over 4,000 yards, 36 passing touchdowns, only 15 interceptions. Like, he had a crazy 2021 season. And but like, he's one of those guys that like, he kind of gives me Tom Brady vibes, if you will, as in the fact, I know
Little,
he's
little,
running, obviously, which Tom
yeah.
Brady really didn't do. Tom Brady's just, he'd run when he had to. So Josh Allen has that, but like, as far as like how he passes, how his demeanor is, like how like it just looks really familiar. And I think if he continues this trajectory that he's on, I could see him reaching like a crazy GOAT status one day. He's still fairly young. But yeah, I mean, I think he's kind of the new favorite. He is on the rise. A lot of people are really liking what the Bills are putting out right now. And again, like we just talked about, they looked really, really good in their first game. So we're excited to see how he does the rest of the season. But he's just an athletic dude, and
Yeah.
he gives me those type of vibes that like could be GOAT status. But yeah, great dual threat, and that's why he's coming in at number 2 for me.
The NFL is definitely in really, really good hands with these young quarterbacks. I mean, think about the guys that we've listed, like Justin Herbert, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. All of these guys are under 30 years
Mm-hmm.
old. Joe Burrow, like Lamar Jackson, some of the guys we haven't mentioned, all of these guys
Yeah.
are young and they're already so good. Like, I cannot wait to watch Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes go up against each other in playoff games and AFC championship games
Mm-hmm.
for like the next 10 to
I might
15
actually
years.
watch it.
It's gonna, yeah. I mean, last year it was so good, and it's
Yeah,
gonna happen most likely
that
again
game
this
was
year.
crazy.
These guys they have, I think, so much respect for each other at the
Yeah,
positions, and the Bills Mafia is a real thing. That fan base is crazy.
yeah,
And Josh Allen is the Bills now, and he's incredible. Yeah, can't argue with the pick at all.
heck yeah. But all right,
Number one.
so number 1, we've made it.
Do you think we have the same number one worst?
I don't know. Sam. Oh,
Okay.
you froze.
Yeah, you froze on me. You good?
Oh no. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. All right. So number 1 worst.
You ready for this thing? Okay.
Yep.
Um, the number one worst starting QB for me, for the NFL, is unfortunate that he has this name because most of the letters share my name as well. And judging by your face, I think I'm talking about somebody differently than you are.
Yeah.
But my
Maybe.
number one worst is Jacoby Brissette.
Oh, that is different than mine.
Okay, all right. Well, we'll see when we get to. I'm interested to see who you got. Yeah, Jacoby Brissette is awful.
I don't
He's
even know who that is.
so he started for the Dolphins last season when Tua got hurt and was
Okay.
almost unplayable, but they couldn't put the third string guy in because it was just like, I don't even know if they had a third string guy, but they had to play him. He may be the most inaccurate quarterback I've ever seen in my entire life. You literally, when he throws the ball, you just like, you don't know where it's going to go. I feel bad for any wide receiver because they probably just have to take like a guess of where they think the ball is going to go. He's terribly inaccurate. He has glimpses of like arm talent where it seems like he can kind of launch it far. But there's just not a lot there. And he is going to be starting the first 6 games with the Browns this season. He started
Okay.
already. Didn't look horrible. He actually didn't look
Mm-hmm.
horrible. So this may be one that kind of proves me wrong. He did a lot of handing off to Nick
What's
Chubb and
his
Kareem
name?
Hunt. So you should, Jacoby Brissett.
Mm.
But Deshaun's going to come in after his suspension is lifted or whatever, and probably do a lot better, because Jacoby Brissette is just freaking awful. He's terrible, almost unplayable, and yeah, he's number one for me. I'm going back and watch some of his stuff, and just looking at the way that he played, he just looks like he just doesn't look like a quarterback. He doesn't look like he should be out there. He should be at best the backup for a mediocre team, but starting for the Browns, we'll see. Again, he could prove me wrong, but the last couple of seasons have been rough.
I mean, I literally can't argue with it at all because I'd never even heard of the guy.
Yeah, there you go.
I knew Tua though. I didn't even realize it didn't go well for him. And
shout out to Tua, almost made my top 5 worst list.
I know. I did see him on some lists. I was like, oof.
Yeah, he's not great. All right, I'm gonna do my number 1 real quick.
Let's do it.
We'll hear your number 1. You guys have probably figured out by now my number 1 best quarterback in the NFL right now is the back-to-back reigning MVP, Aaron Rodgers. I think Aaron Rodgers may be the most accurate quarterback that we've ever seen play the game. He is fantastic at getting the ball into places that that other quarterbacks just can't. For his age and the way that he's able to scramble, it's really, really impressive. He's just a magician when it comes to, like, when you think the play is over, he does something that's, there's been a lot of Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes comparisons. Nobody says that either of them are the greatest quarterbacks of all time. But what I do hear a lot is the most talented quarterback of all time, between like him and Patrick Mahomes. And I think that's an apt comparison. I think that Patrick Mahomes is just younger, and he's got a couple other skills that Aaron Rodgers doesn't have. But if you think about it, if you kind of watch the way that they play, Aaron Rodgers is doing a lot of what Patrick Mahomes is able to do. And he's like, 10 years older than him, even more than that, I think. And so I think he's a fantastic quarterback. And a big reason why I have him at number 1, one of the things you alluded to, is the 37-4 touchdown interception ratio.
Yeah, that's
37
insane.
touchdowns and 4 interceptions is crazy.
Yeah.
And 4,115 total passing yards last season is really, really good. Winning back-to-back MVPs. He's also got the Super Bowls and stuff, and countless other things and stuff. He's the best starting quarterback right now, in my opinion. But I think who I believe is going to be your number 1 was, my number 2 is there's a lot of arguments that could be made to swap them. I'm totally down to make those arguments. But as far as the research that I did, what I've seen, I think Aaron Rodgers takes the cake for me. I think he's the best starting quarterback we've got right now.
No, that's good stuff. And I think that he's also really been able to build his resume. Is like building his resume has gotten better, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Like not a lot of guys. I mean, obviously it's like, oh, you get better as time goes on, but also like not as much in sports sometimes, because you're getting older,
right.
Your body's taking more of a toll. But this dude, like the fact that he's gotten the last 2 years being the MVP is like crazy. Cause like, I feel like he's been in the league for more than 10 seasons, right?
Yeah, it feels like, for a long time, for sure. I can't remember when he was drafted.
He's been playing ever since I even started watching football.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's not saying a long time, but
he's got. I think I really hear the point you're making. He was able to trick people into thinking that, like, oh, he's getting older, he's going to start slipping in his game, but he just kept learning from his game, and he just kept getting better. And eventually it's, what Tom Brady did. Eventually, he's going to not be able to play like he has before. But man, 38, 39 years old, winning back-to-back MVPs, that's really, really impressive. And I'm interested to see how he does this season with the lack of the receiving core that he has in this season in particular. But yeah.
Word.
That's all right, let's hear it.
All right. So my number 1 worst. So we just mentioned the guy who had over 4,000 passing yards just in 2021. This is a guy who has only had 4,000 passing yards in his career. While it's not been many years, since 2019. His name is Drew Lock. Drew Lock came out of Missouri. What?
Okay, so Drew Lock. So Geno Smith is starting over Drew Lock. That's why I didn't have him on my list.
Oh, okay, yeah, because we were,
Because
when
he's
I
awful. He's
yeah,
really
he's
really
really
bad.
bad. Yeah. I didn't know when I did this. I just saw that he was playing for Seattle, and then I started looking at his stats, and so I was like, okay. But yes, Geno Smith did beat him out. But
To be fair, that was last night. The game was last night. So I'm saying, in your defense, like,
yeah,
we literally found out that Geno Smith, they played last night is when the Broncos and the Seahawks played. So honestly, if you
which is funny, they played the Broncos because that's where he came from.
Yeah. But no, Drew Lock is fine. He deserves to be on top of the.
Yeah,
I don't even care if he's awful. Go ahead.
Well, and I mean, he still might get some starts because it's not like he hasn't gotten starts before. But yeah, he ain't too hot. Again, 2021, because the last season he played with the Broncos and now he's gone to Seattle. But it was in question that, like, was he going to start or beat out Geno Smith or not? And I wasn't paying attention yesterday, but yeah. So I mean, he might even get some starts. We'll see. But this guy is just, he ain't it. He came out of Missouri, which is a kind of average SEC school, kind of went under the radar, and he's just been doing that his whole career. Dang, I feel like I just crashed and burned him.
I think since he started, he has like the worst. He's had like the worst QBR or whatever for the like every year that he's a starting quarterback.
Yeah, it's 23.4. I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, 23.4 QBR.
That's so bad.
787 passing yards in 2021 with 2 passing touchdowns and 2 interceptions. Like, I just read that and I was like, wait, he was starting? Like, that's that's like third string numbers.
yeah, it's bad.
There's a reason why he didn't start last night. I'll just say that. And therefore he gets to be the worst. All right. So
definitely don't hate that pick.
Number 1 best, y'all knew it was coming, but it is Patrick Mahomes. I don't watch a whole ton of football, but when I do, I really like to watch this guy play because, well, when I say football, I mean NFL.
Yeah.
But when I do like to watch the NFL, I like to watch this guy play. And I think he's at kind of what you were touching on with kind of like revolutionizing the game almost. I feel like we do see a lot of different things out of him, and like he makes NFL defenses look like they're not a defense at all. It's just crazy. He almost had 5,000 passing yards in 2021, and much like Josh Allen, he had a low INT interceptions. He had 13 in 2021. So, I mean,
and last year wasn't even that great of a year for him, like compared to how he's been before.
Well, and I think he's also starting to become one of those guys where like he's consistently in the running as far as like Super Bowls go. I feel like I've been seeing, Kansas City year after year, and this dude's leading the way. And like, yes, every good quarterback has a good wide receiver, and like, with obviously Tyreek Hill is out right now. So like, I mean, we're really going to be able to see, how he does without him. But he did that did he do that in 2021? Right. Cause he's adjusting without Tyreek Hill, but like he's doing a good job of doing that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, I had to put Patty Mahomes at number 1 because like this dude is he's absolutely flaming the game. And I think he's going to continue to do that. But yeah.
Yeah, I think you made a really good point when you talked about how like he's always there. Like the Chiefs are always just making some kind of run. They're always going to be difficult to put down, and he's not gonna allow them to not be in the hunt in the AFC, right? And even for the Super Bowl. And I think that he is an incredible QB. Obviously, I've already talked about what he's able to do, and we're gonna see the best is yet to come, I think, for Patrick Mahomes. But even if it's not, he's already done so much, even at his young age, that he doesn't have a lot to prove, really, I think, personally. But I think he'll still be really, really good in the future.
Heck yeah. Well,
All
sweet.
right.
How do you feel?
I feel like we're experts, basically, is what I feel like. Go ahead and put me on ESPN.
I am surprised. We were able to do that pretty well for not being guys who call ourselves experts in the NFL quarterbacks.
It's really interesting how different our worst list was.
Yeah, they were.
Well, really the whole list. I think we had a lot of differences. I think that was really interesting.
We both had Mr. Danny Dimes at 4, I think.
Yeah, Danny Dimes. Go home. Terrible.
Go home, terrible.
Because I know what I'm talking about, Danny Dimes. So
yeah, these guys are only making millions of dollars, so let's just hate on them.
Just is what it is. Guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us. We didn't say this at the front of the episode, but Ranker fam, we always really, really appreciate your support. And if you are not following us on Instagram already, definitely go and do that, because we're very active on Instagram.
Yep.
That's where we do our most communicating with you guys. And we ask you guys questions, and we love your feedback. And we do listeners pick episodes where maybe an episode that you suggest we'll end up doing. And also, if you could leave us a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts, or review us on Spotify as well, whatever platform you're listening on, that really, really helps us out as we try to continue to grow this podcast. But if you don't do any of those things and you're just listening, we still love you. We're still glad that you're here. You're still part of the Ranker fam. If for some reason you want to communicate with us, you can message us on those platforms. We also have a Twitter, and then you can also email us at therankerspodcast@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you there as well. But this has been fun.
Yeah, it has been. Go hit up the plugs, guys. Come on, let's be the Ranker fam. If you want to get into the Ranker fam again, go sub to the stuff. That's what I gotta say.
Yeah, we are cranking out season 3. We have a lot of stuff planned for this the next several weeks. We're really, really excited about. So thank you for hanging with us this week. And Ranker fan, we will see you next time.
See you next time.